All right, we've been working with solving systems of equations by graphing and looking at those. Now we're going to look at a second method for us to solve systems of equations, and that is by substitution. So our steps to solving by substitution are to solve one equation for a single variable, substitute into the other equation and solve. Then you're going to plug your answer back into either equation to solve for the variable you haven't solved for yet. And last, you write your answer as an ordered pair. So let's dive right in and look at example 1. For example 1, we have two equations, y equals 2x plus 1 and 3x plus y equals negative 9. So we're going to follow our steps. So our first step says to solve for one equation for a single variable. Looking here, I already have this equation right here solved for a single variable, so I don't have to do that step. So next it tells me to substitute into the other equation and solve. So I'm on step 2, okay, and I'm going to take my second equation, 3x plus y equals negative 9. Now I know that y is equal to 2x plus 1. Right here, it shows us that. So instead of y, I'm going to replace that and substitute it in. So I'll have 3x plus 2x plus 1 is equal to negative 9. So now that I've substituted that in, I can solve for the missing variable and combine my like terms. I have a 3x and a 2x that I can combine. 3 plus 2 gives me 5x plus 1 equals negative 9. Now I have a constant on both sides, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, bring down my 5x. Those cancel out, and that leaves me with negative 10. Now I have 5 times x, which I also need to undo by dividing both sides by 5. And now I know that x is equal to negative 2. So I know my x value. Now I need to go back, and step 3 right here tells us to plug the answer back into either equation. So if I already have an equation solved for y, which is what I'm looking for, that's where I'm going to put that answer. So I'm going to use y equals 2x plus 1 and substitute negative 2 in for that. So I have y equals 2 times my x, which is negative 2, plus 1. So when I solve that, I now have 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 1, and negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So I now have an x and a y value. In step 4, we write our solution as an ordered pair. Remember, it always comes as x comma y. So I simply write my x value first, negative 2, negative 3. Okay, and that is our solution to the system of equations. Okay. Let's look at example 2. In example 2, we have two equations as well. So we need to do step 1. Step 1 is to solve for one variable of one equation. When I look at these two equations, the first one, the x value is already by itself, meaning it doesn't have a coefficient in front of it. So that is going to be the easiest one to solve for right away. So let's start with that equation. X plus 2y is equal to 6. Now to move my x to get by itself, I'm going to subtract 2y from both sides. And that will leave me with x, bring that down, 2 minus 2 cancels out, and I'm left with negative 2y plus 6 on the other side. So now I've solved for x, don't have a solution for it, but I've solved for it. Now if we look back at step 2, we're going to substitute into the other equation and solve. So step 2, we're going to use the 3x minus 4y is equal to 28. Now instead of x, I'm going to plug in negative 2y plus 6. So I have 3 times negative 2y plus 6 minus 4y equals 28. Okay, with that, we now have to use the distributive property. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6y. 3 times 18, or 3 times 6 is 18, sorry, minus 4y equals 28. Okay, from here, we're just going to combine our like terms. We have the like terms of negative 6y and negative 4y, gives us a negative 10y plus 18 equals 28. Next, we can move our constant to the other side by subtracting 18 from both sides. Bring down our negative 10y. 18 minus 18 cancels out, and then 28 minus 18 gives us a positive 10. Next, we get our negative 10 away from y by dividing both sides by negative 10. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 just leaves us with y, and 10 divided by negative 10 is negative 1. So now we have a y value, and let's see, we've done step 1 and 2. Step 3, we're plugging our answer back into either equation to solve for the variable. So if we already have a variable solved for y, or for x, my bad, in the first one, let's plug it back in to this first equation over here. So I'm going to do step 3 over here, and we're going to use x equals negative 2y plus 6. So I have x equals negative 2y plus 6, because we want to know what x is, and if we substitute y as negative 1 into this equation, we'll find out what x is. So we have negative 2 times negative 1 plus 6. Okay, negative 2 times negative 1. Well, we have x is negative 2 times negative 1 gives us a positive 2 plus 6. So x is equal to 2 plus 6, which is 8. So now we just have step 4 left, and I'll write it over here. Step 4, our ordered pair as x, y. So our x is 8, and our y is negative 1. And that is the solution to both equations. All right, so you have some practice to do on your own. These 2 problems, have these finished and brought to class tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great day.